Good morning, little one. Today, Marmee Dara is going to read you one of her favorite books, and it is The Tale of Squirrel Nutkin by Beatrix Potter. This is such a great book. You're going to love it. So there's Squirrel Nutkin. This is a tale about a tale that belonged to a little red squirrel, and his name was Nutkin. He had a brother called Twinkleberry and a great many cousins. They lived in a wood at the edge of a lake. Look there. In the middle of the lake, there is an island covered with trees and nut bushes. And amongst those trees stands a hollow oak tree, which is the house of an owl who is called Old Brown. And look, there's Old Brown. See him flying to his tree? One autumn, when the nuts were ripe and the leaves on the hazel bushes were golden and green, Nutkin and Twinkleberry and all the other little squirrels came out of the wood and down to the edge of the lake. There they are. Look at all the little squirrels. They're down at the woods. They're getting on the lake. What are they floating on? Can you tell? They made little rafts out of twigs, and they paddled away over the water to Owl Island to gather nuts. Each squirrel had a little sack and a large oar and spread out his tail for a sail. Look at it. You see their tails? They're making them for a sail so the wind can blow them. They also took with them an offering of 3 fat mice as a present for Old Brown and put them down upon his doorstep. Then Twinkleberry and the other little squirrels each made a low bow and said politely, "Oh, Mr. Brown, will you favor us with permission to gather nuts upon your island?" There they are, they're asking. Can we please get nuts off of your island? Because that's what squirrels really like. But Nutkin was excessively impertinent in his manners. He bobbed up and down like a little red cherry, singing, riddle me, rot, tot, tote, a little wee man in a red, red coat, a staff in his hand and a stone in his throat. If you tell me this riddle, I'll give you a groat." Now, this riddle is as old as the hills. Mr. Brown paid no attention whatever to Nutkin. He shut his eyes obstinately and went to sleep. And there he is. He went to sleep, and there's Nutkin, who is being ridiculous. The squirrels filled their little sacks with nuts and sailed away home in the evening. There they go. And they're putting them on their little rafts. But next morning, they all came back again to Owl Island, and Twinkleberry and the others brought a fine, fat mole and laid it on the stone in front of Old Brown's doorway and said, "Mr. Brown, will you favor us with your gracious permission to gather some more nuts?" Look, see how polite and respectful they're being? And they're sitting there, and they are laying that mole down there for him to eat. But Nutkin, who had no respect, began to dance up and down, tickling old Mr. Brown with a nettle that's like a sticker, and singing, "Oh, Mr. B, riddle me ree, hitty pitty within the wall, hitty pitty without the wall. If you touch hitty pitty will bite you." Mr. Brown woke up suddenly and carried the mole in his house. So he is not going to put up with that foolishness anymore. When that nettle touches you, it stings you. So Nutkin is very silly to do that, and very rude. He shut the door in Nutkin's face. Presently a little thread of blue smoke from a wood fire came up from the top of the tree, and Nutkin peeped through the keyhole and sang, "A house full, a hole full, and you cannot gather a bowl full." How rude. There's Nutkin looking through this peephole and talking silly. The squirrels searched for nuts all over the island and filled their little sacks. But Nutkin gathered oak apples, yellow and scarlet, and sat upon a beech stump playing marbles and watching the door of old Mr. Brown. And there's Nutkin, and he's playing with the oak apples. On the third day, the squirrels got up very early and went fishing. They caught 7 fat minnows as a present for Old Brown. They paddled over the lake and landed under a crooked chestnut tree on Owl Island. There they are. They're fishing and getting some minnows for Old Brown. And Nutkin is not being helpful. He is not doing that at all. He is very naughty. Twinkleberry and 6 other little squirrels each carried a fat minnow, but Nutkin, who had no nice manners, brought no present at all. He ran in front singing, "The man in the wilderness said to me, 'How many strawberries grow in the sea?' I answered him as I thought good, 'As many red herrings as grow in the wood.'" But old Mr. Brown took no interest in riddles, not even when the answer was provided for him. There's Nutkin running ahead. Naughty, naughty little Nutkin. On the 4th day, the squirrels brought a present of 6 fat beetles, which were as good as plums and plum pudding for Old Brown. Each beetle was wrapped up carefully in a dock leaf and fastened with a pine needle pin. But Nutkin sang as rudely as ever, "Old Mr. B, riddle me ree, flower of England, fruit of Spain, met together in a shower of rain, put in a bag tied round with a string. If you tell me this riddle, I'll give you a ring." Which is ridiculous, because Nutkin had not got any ring to give to Old Brown. So he's making promises that he cannot keep. There's the beetles wrapped up in the leaves. And they see the pine needles holding it together. The other squirrels hunted up and down the nut bushes, but Nutkin gathered robin's pincushions off of a briar bush and stuck them full of pine needle pins. And he is not working and not helping. Why those other squirrels let him come, I do not know, because he is so naughty. On the 5th day, the squirrels brought a present of wild honey. It was so sweet and sticky that they licked their fingers as they put it down upon the stone. They had stolen it out of a bumblebee's nest on the tippity top of the hill. But Nutkin skipped up and down singing, "Hum-a-bum, buzz, buzz, hum-a-bum, buzz. As I went over Tipple-Tine, I met a flock of bonny swine. Some yellow-nacked, some yellow-backed. They were the very bonniest swine that ever went over Tipple-Tine." That crazy squirrel. And there they are. They're getting those together. Old Mr. Brown turned up his eyes in disgust at the impertinence of Nutkin, but he ate up the honey. There he is, eating the honey. Look at him. And there's Nutkin, naughty Nutkin. The squirrels filled their little sacks with nuts, but Nutkin sat upon a big flat rock and played 9 pins with a crab apple and green fir cones. There he is. He's playing bowling like Poppy. Poppy likes to bowl. On the 6th day, which was Saturday, the squirrels came again for the last time. They brought a new laid egg in a little rush basket as a last parting present for Old Brown. But Nutkin ran in front, laughing and shouting, "Humpty Dumpty lies in the beck with a white counterpane around his neck. 40 doctors and 40 wrights cannot put Humpty Dumpty to rights." Ooh, that naughty squirrel. There he is, running up ahead. And there's their egg in their little basket made out of rushes. So sweet. Sweet little good squirrels. Now, old Mr. Brown took an interest in eggs. He opened one eye and shut it again. But still he did not speak. There he is looking at the egg. He's like, oh, I like eggs. Look at Nutkin being crazy standing on that owl. Nutkin became more and more impertinent. Old Mr. B, hickamore hackamore on the king's kitchen door. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't drive hickamore hackamore off the king's kitchen door. Nutkin danced up and down like a sunbeam, but still Old Brown said nothing at all. You know, there's something in the Bible about that. It says, speak to a fool so that he's not wise in his own eyes. But then sometimes you don't speak to a fool so that he doesn't think that he's wise in his own eyes. So sometimes you tell somebody they're being foolish and sometimes you don't. And Mr. Brown is not telling Nutkin he's being foolish. Nutkin began again. Arthur O'Bower has broken his band. He comes roaring up the land. The King of Scots with all his power cannot turn Arthur of the Bower. Nutkin made a whirring noise to sound like the wind, like, ooh. And he took a running jump right onto the head of Old Brown. Then all at once there was a flutterment and a scufflement and a loud squeak. The other squirrels scuttered away into the bushes. Oh, no. What is happening? Look at Nutkin and look at Mr. Brown. He is not closing his eyes anymore, is he? Oh, my goodness. When they came back very cautiously, peeping round the tree, there was Old Brown sitting on his doorstep, quite still, with his eyes closed, as if nothing had happened. But Nutkin was in his waistcoat pocket. Oh my goodness. What are we going to do? There's Old Brown. He's just sitting still. This looks like the end of the story, but it isn't. Oh no! Mr. Brown has Nutkin. And look at the squirrels behind him. They're like, oh no, he's going to eat him. What do you think's going to happen? Old Brown carried Nutkin into his house and held him up by the tail, intending to skin him. But Nutkin pulled so very hard that his tail broke in two, and he dashed up the staircase and escaped out of the attic window. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. What in the world? Look at that. There goes Nutkin. Do you see his tail? Oh no. His tail broke in two. What's he going to do? How's he going to get back to the island? He doesn't have a tail to use for a sail anymore. And to this day, if you meet Nutkin up a tree and ask him a riddle, he will throw sticks at you and stamp his feet and scold and shout, "Cluck, cluck, 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 cluck." The end. Look at that. There's Nutkin with his short little tail, and he's not telling riddles anymore because he learned a very important lesson, didn't he? That we do not act foolishly and we do not make fun of people who have things in their power to hurt you. So, that was the tale of Squirrel Nutkin. I hope you love it. It's one of Marmee's favorite books. It's pretty silly. So I hope you have a good day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.